The first time you use Google SketchUp, there's just one thing you have to do. Click Choose Templates, make sure Architectural Design Feet and Inches is selected, and click Start using SketchUp. First things first, a quick tour. Up here at the top of the screen, these are your tools. Right here in the middle, this is the modeling window. This is Sang. He's in every new model you make. And down here at the bottom, you've got information about the tools when you use them to make models in SketchUp. Okay, let's dive right in. I'm going to use the Rectangle tool to draw a rectangle on the ground. I just clicked once on the left and once on the right. Now we've got Sang standing in the middle of a rectangle. I'd like to turn the rectangle into a box, so I'm going to take the Push-Pull tool, looks kind of like a brown box with a red arrow coming out of the top, to click once on the rectangle and pull it up right around Sang. Now, I want to take this 3D box that I made and spin it around, so I'm going to use the Orbit tool. Looks like two blue arrows forming a ball. And when I click down and move my mouse around, you'll see that I can spin this thing around in 3D space. That's called orbiting. I'm going to take the rectangle and cut a door in the side of this building, just like that. And then I'm going to take the Push-Pull tool and push in that a little bit. I'm going to take the eraser and erase away the bottom edge of the door. And what you'll see when I get the Orbit tool again is that Sang's actually still inside. So what we've got is a little building with Sang inside. Next thing I'm going to do is take the circle. Let's draw a little circular window on the side of the building right there. Let's do another one over on this side of the building, just like this. And what I'm going to do in this case is actually use the Select tool to select the circle that I drew and then press the Delete key on my keyboard. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Select and delete. And when I go up and get the Orbit tool, you'll see what happens. See? I've cut holes in the side of the building, just like that. Next thing I'm going to do is zoom out a little bit. This little magnifying glass up here is the zoom tool. Let's just zoom back. And I'm going to put a roof on this building. And the easiest way to do that, if you're new to SketchUp, is to use the Push-Pull tool right there. Click once on the roof and bring this up much taller than it was before. And then, let's see, I'm going to get the Orbit tool. Let's bring that up. I'm going to kind of spin this thing around so I can see this end of the building a little better. And I'm going to take the Line tool, looks like a little red pencil, click once on the top edge of my building, once down there, and then I'm going to click again where I clicked before, and then click down here. And then I'm going to use the Orbit tool to orbit down. Let's get the Push-Pull tool. Click once on that triangle that I just made, push that back, orbit around, use the Push-Pull tool, let's push that back as well, and use the Orbit tool to see what we've made. So now we've got Sang inside a little building with a rectangular door, two circular windows, and a peaked roof. I think the next thing we need to do is add some materials. So I'm going to go back to my Select tool. That's a good neutral tool to go back to when you're not doing anything. And I'm going to go to the Window menu and choose Materials. Now, I'm in my little roofing materials palette here, but I'm going to click here and go up and look for brick. Now, just take that first brick texture, and my tool automatically turns into the Paint Bucket tool, which is up here. But when you click a texture, it automatically turns into the Paint Bucket. And I'm going to just click where I want to paint brick. So click there. Now, if I want to paint the other two sides of the house, I'm going to use the Orbit tool to just sort of spin myself around. Let's go back up to the Paint Bucket, click and click, and I want to choose some, I think some nice shingles for the roof. So let's click on some shingles, click there, let's get that Orbit tool to just spin ourselves around again, back to the Paint Bucket, click there, and what we've got now is a little building with Sang and brick and a little roof made out of shingles, and it looks pretty good right now. I'm going to close up my Materials palette and go to Window and Components. Now, the Components dialog box, or browser, is where you go to find things like furniture and cars and trees and those kinds of things. What I want to do is bring in a piece of furniture for this little house. And right here I have a bench. I'm going to click on the bench, and then you'll see it goes on the end of my cursor. I'm just going to set it down exactly where I want it to be. And I think this model needs one more thing, and I think that's probably a friend for Sang. So I think I remember up here seeing, yep, there she is. Right here, Nancy. I'm going to click on her, and you'll see that Nancy's at the end of my cursor now. Let's just put Nancy over here in the model. And you can just drag in anything you like from here. You can type in what you're looking for right here, And this little button actually gives you access to even more libraries of components. So there's a whole world of content in here if you like. For now, I'm going to close that up. I'm going to get my orbit tool to take a look at what I've got. And, well, at this point, actually, I'd like to show you something that actually really just advanced users of SketchUp use, but I think you'll get a kick out of it. So watch this. I'm going to go to Window, and I'm going to turn on Shadows. And the little Shadows dialog box opens. Now if I click Display Shadows right there, and then I move the time slider back and forth, do you see how the shadows are moving? I'm going to move the date slider as well. And that's because these two sliders are controlling the position of the sun in SketchUp, which changes the shape and the position of the shadows. And one of the things I realize is that Nancy over here is standing in the sun. So I think what I need to do is make something that'll provide her some shade. So I'm going to go up here to the Orbit tool. Let's go and use the rectangle. Let's just kind of draw a little rectangle on the side of the building, and I'm going to use push-pull again. Let's click once, and then I'm just going to pull this out so that it's on top of Nancy. I think I'm going to add a little support. That's funny that that's brick, because they don't usually make overhangs out of brick like that, but this isn't real, so I don't have to worry about it. Let's just use the circle to draw a circle on the underside there. I'm going to use the push-pull tool. Click on the circle, and then hover on the bottom of the house and click, and then use the Orbit tool. And you'll see what that did was make sure that that column, this one here that I just made, comes down all the way to the ground. Now, it looks like Nancy's still in the sun, so I need to move this time of day around and the date until Nancy's not standing in the sun anymore. There we go. Cool. So now Nancy's in the shade. Sang's inside the house. They've got a little bench to sit on. And I think everything's pretty good. All right, that's all I'm going to show you. It's your turn. You can model a house for Sang or anything else you can imagine. Thanks very much for watching.